Hello everyone, good morning and welcome back to Sports Today. You know we bring you this video segment every single morning to help you catch up with things that have been taking place in the world whilst you were catching up on some sleep. And we do have some pretty interesting updates from around the world of sport to share with you. So let's get straight to it and let's talk about the one thing that's on the minds of a lot of Indian sport fans, and that is the T20 World Cup game that is going to be between India and Pakistan. Now, the unfortunate reality is that this game has been dominated by a rather bad backdrop wherein there have been talks of terroristic threats. And whilst those threats have been said to be firmly under control and the security situation as such has been doubled down on as being good, the US or the New York governor has actually ensured that the security measures that have been put in place will be amped up, will be increased to ensure that the match goes off without any glitch whatsoever. We'll be doing a detailed video on this later on in the day, but it's good to know that the US is taking security threats like this pretty seriously. Second bit of news, really, Rohit Sharma has, of course, reached there along with a lot of his teammates, and there has been plenty of talk about India's preparation. But as Rohit Sharma posted on his Instagram, it's good to be back out there on the green and good to be back there with the boys. And of course, they have been doing plenty of training, but most of it has been lightweight, less intense, not really done a net sessions as of yet. Again, we have a video up on that. You can go check that out later when you have the chance. But for now, of course, you can see the players are getting out there and basically trying to acclimatize to the situations, because where they're coming from, weather is very different. There is, of course, also a difference when it comes to the playing conditions, time zones. All of these kind of things will come into play. So they're taking it easy, easing themselves in very nicely. Next bit of interesting news, and truth be told, this one is one that doesn't really bode well for Indian cricket fans. And if you're someone who doesn't like criticism of Indian cricket, shut your ears now, because Simon Doull has spoken about how it is that he has often gotten death threats for saying anything which is negative or quote unquote perceived to be negative about Virat Kohli. And he said that I often praise him because I think he's such a good player, but the few times that I don't, if I say anything which is negative or construed to be negative, I get death threats. It's pretty sad situation, and honestly, if you're one of those people who's sending death threats to people just doing their job, I think you need to get a little bit of a life and not necessarily fall for or feel so passionately about something that you feel compelled to give death threats on behalf of someone who probably has never even met you. Not a good look, guys. Let's just be a little more sane when it comes to our fandom. On more positive news, we're talking more about players with belief in themselves, like a Kohli does. Riyan Parag has recently said in an interaction that, listen, I don't care when exactly it happens, but I'm going to be playing for India. It doesn't matter when, I just know it's going to happen. Now, of course, Parag is the same person who once said that he had a dream that he hit 4 sixes in an over, and that didn't quite happen. But we know for a fact that Parag's name has been one that's been mentioned for a potential India call-up after the T20 World Cup, as the selectors and the team management look to get a fresh start and bring in a new talent pool. I, for one, would personally be very interested to see him get a chance, especially if he bowls a bit, which he didn't really do much this IPL. His bowling can be a useful thing if, let's say, he gets more chances to bowl. Hasn't unfortunately happened, but I'd be interested to see him in the squad. You guys can let me know if you agree or disagree with me in the comments. But switching focus now from the world of cricket to the world of football, and you can congratulate Olympiacos, as they have become the first Greek side in the history of football to ever lift a major European championship. Why? Because they ended up winning the Europa Conference League with a 2-1 victory over Fiorentina. Pretty big achievement, and unfortunate also for Fiorentina, who now lost back-to-back Conference League finals. Last year, they lost out to a late goal against West Ham. This year, they lost out to a bit of a late goal against Olympiacos. As I said, a bit unfortunate, but I mean, what can you do about it? All I'll say is congratulations to Olympiacos. More football news, and Bayern Munich have a new manager at last, and it is this man right here, Vincent Kompany. Now, Kompany has only managed once in his professional managerial career so far. He's managed Burnley for precisely 2 seasons. One of them saw them get promoted to the Premier League, the other get relegated back to the Championship. Despite that, he signed a 3-year contract with Bayern Munich. How exactly does that work out? Make sense of that one if you can. This is really the definition of failing upwards. So he didn't do a good enough job at the club he's at, but there's enough belief and let's say faith in his ability potential that Bayern have handed him a 3-year deal. Very interesting, and I'll be very fascinated to see how exactly this works out. Speaking of things that I'll be fascinated to see how they work out. Kylian Mbappé has announced that we'll know what exactly his next club will be very, very soon. Gee, I wonder if it rhymes with the words Real Madrid, because I think that's most likely where he's heading, isn't it? Real Madrid. Not really much of a secret, but a little bit, dig a little deeper and you find out things aren't really that good between him and PSG, which shouldn't be much of a surprise given PSG didn't want him to leave. But what makes things even worse is that he was not paid some money, not just his own wages, but also some bonuses that came about that he agreed to waive off. But it's going to potentially become a little bit of a dispute, because some of that money is money that he should apparently be paid. And the sum, by the way, is mind-boggling. It's about 80 million euros. That is a lot of money. It'll be interesting to see if Mbappé actually decides to take things up legally, or if PSG end up paying the money anyway. Keep an eye on this one. Feels like a story that could very well be developing. Switching focus now from the world of football to the world of tennis, and Carlos Alcaraz survived an almighty scare in his French Open second round against a Dutch qualifier named Joachim de Jong. Now, obviously, everyone expected that Carlos Alcaraz would be making it, but it ended up going 4 sets, and de Jong actually ended up getting 5 breakpoints against him. So that's a pretty, let's say, scary victory for Alcaraz to be going in against. And the good news is, though, that he actually ended up winning. He's through to the third round and continues his status as one of the favorites for the French Open. Speaking of French Open favorites, Iga Swiatek too had to survive an almighty scare in her game against Naomi Osaka. Swiatek was at one point facing match point versus Osaka. She managed to save that in the third set, then win 5 games in the trot to get her own match point, which she then ended up converting. Wow, what a win from Swiatek. And don't forget, the defending French Open champion was very much in danger of being knocked out in the second round. Thankfully, it's something that didn't happen, but it was definitely a match that will get a lot of people talking. And final bit of news, and this is really also an interesting one. The Saudi Arabia, let's say, entertainment's head has confirmed that the rematch of this boxing bout between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk will in fact be taking part. The rematch will be taking part in this December. Now that's interesting when you consider it's just happened about a couple of weeks ago, and this is of course a bout that drew a lot of money and interest, because now the sport of boxing finally has an undisputed heavyweight champion who holds all of the belts available after over a quarter of a century. But the rematch happening this soon, very, very interested to see how that one works out. And although both of them have said that they wanted a rematch, pretty sure probably they didn't want it this soon, but it has come at this point in time, and that's just the way it is. Anyway, that's it from this edition of the Morning Wrap of Sports Today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. As always, we appreciate you rocking along with us, and if you enjoy our work, please don't forget, like, share, subscribe, tap that bell, leave us a comment, follow us on social media. We're on X, Instagram and Facebook. Don't forget to download the Sports app, and if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos we've done as well. For now, from my side though, it is goodbye.